To everyone who lived in Maple Ridge, the Sandovals were the kind of family people admired from afar. Richard Sandoval was a well-spoken high school history teacher who coached the debate team. Elena taught literature at the same school and ran a poetry club on weekends. They were well-dressed, polite, and always smiling at neighborhood events. Their two-story brick house sat neatly behind a white picket fence, flowers blooming in perfect symmetry. Halloween decorations went up in October, Christmas lights sparkled by December, and in summer, the lawn was trimmed like a golf course. They were, by all appearances, the image of middle-class success. Their only child, Jordan, was less visible but still well-mannered. At school, he was known for his excellent grades and near-silent presence in the classroom. Teachers said he was intelligent but emotionally closed off. He rarely participated in group activities or sports, but no one thought much of it. Quiet boys weren't unusual. At home, he spent most of his time in his room, away from the noise of the world. To others, he seemed like the type of kid who would go to an Ivy League college and make his parents proud. But inside that house, a very different reality was unfolding. Jordan lived under a pressure cooker of expectations. Every test score, every word, every decision was measured. His parents demanded more than just achievement, they demanded perfection. Mistakes were treated like betrayals. Praise was conditional, affection rarely shown. There were no open conversations, only rules. Over the years, Jordan learned how to hide his frustration, how to shrink into silence. He buried his feelings in video games, journals, and long nights staring at the ceiling. On the outside, everything seemed fine. But inside, resentment began to grow like a shadow that would never leave. And one day, that shadow took over. The idea of killing his parents didn't arrive suddenly. It crept in slowly, like a whisper in the back of Jordan's mind. At first, it was just a thought, an escape fantasy formed during one of many nights filled with silence and disappointment. But the more he thought about it, the more real it began to feel. As the months passed, the fantasy turned into a plan. He stopped trying to impress them. Instead, he watched them, studying their routines, their habits, their weaknesses. He became an observer in his own home, tracking every movement with quiet precision. He knew when his father took his evening walks, how long his mother spent in the kitchen, what time the house went dark each night. While other teenagers planned their futures, Jordan was researching crimes. Late into the night, he read about unsolved murders and forensic failures. He explored online forums under fake names, asking disturbing questions disguised as curiosity. Some users responded with jokes. Others gave serious, detailed advice. Jordan absorbed it all, like a student preparing for the final exam of his life. The more he planned, the more distant he became from reality. He stopped feeling nervous. The fear turned into control. He bought gloves and cleaning agents under the excuse of helping with chores. He stashed them in a box in the back of his closet. Then, he found what he thought would be the perfect weapon, a small, unregistered handgun he ordered through a hidden corner of the internet using cryptocurrency. It arrived wrapped in layers of plastic, nearly invisible to the outside world. By now, the plan was set in stone. Jordan didn't feel like a son anymore. He felt like a stranger in a hostile house. And in his mind, the only way to reclaim his life was to end theirs. It was a grey, quiet Saturday when Jordan put his plan into motion. The sky hung low with thick clouds, and a steady drizzle kept most neighbors indoors. He had chosen the day carefully, no visitors expected, no errands scheduled. His parents were both home, relaxed and unaware. Jordan moved through the house calmly, going about his morning routine as if it were any other weekend. He ate breakfast, cleaned his room, and waited. Every step was rehearsed in his mind, every second accounted for. By early evening, the house had settled into silence. His father was in the study, grading student essays, while his mother prepared tea in the kitchen. Jordan retrieved the handgun from beneath a floorboard in his closet, where it had been hidden for weeks. His heart didn't race. His hands didn't shake. There was no emotion left, only focus. He approached his father from behind, aimed, and fired a single shot to the head. The sound was muffled by a pillow he had brought with him. His mother heard nothing. Seconds later, he stepped into the kitchen. His mother turned to him with a confused look before he raised the weapon and fired again. She collapsed without a word. The tea kettle continued to whistle in the background, filling the house with eerie normalcy. Afterward, Jordan stood still, surrounded by silence. No tears. No horror. Just the mechanical awareness that it was done. He dragged both bodies to the basement, wrapped them in plastic tarps, and shoved them into the hidden storage room behind old shelves. Then he started cleaning. Every drop, every smudge, every piece of evidence was scrubbed away. He washed his clothes, took a shower, and went to bed early. The house was spotless. His parents were gone. And for the first time in his life, it was quiet. In the days following the murders, Jordan began building the illusion that everything was normal. He knew that silence wouldn't last forever, so he acted quickly. He used his parents' phones to send messages to colleagues and friends, claiming they had gone on a sudden trip to care for a sick relative. He mimicked their writing style, even added emojis his mother often used. He posted a few updates on their social media accounts, simple things like sunsets and coffee mugs, just enough to keep appearances intact. Jordan kept the house perfectly clean. He paid bills online using his father's saved passwords. He even walked the dog and waved at neighbors like nothing had changed. On trash day, he rolled the bins to the curb like usual, careful to include old mail or items with his parents' names to avoid suspicion. When someone from school called to ask why Mr. Sandoval hadn't been in class, Jordan answered in a calm voice, saying his dad was still away and would return soon. The story worked, at first. But as weeks passed, people began to notice. Elena stopped showing up for her weekly book club. Richard missed a faculty meeting without explanation. Calls went unanswered. One of Elena's friends drove by the house and thought it was strange the curtains were always closed. Small doubts began to form, and eventually, someone reported them missing. When the police arrived for a wellness check, Jordan greeted them at the door, polite and cooperative. He repeated his story without hesitation. There were no signs of struggle, no obvious red flags. But something about his composure felt wrong to Detective Lisa Warren. She noticed the faint chemical smell in the air and the untouched plates in the kitchen. She didn't say much, but she quietly opened a file. Detective Lisa Warren couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Jordan had answers for everything, but they felt too polished, too rehearsed. She began a quiet investigation, pulling financial records, phone data, and surveillance footage from nearby traffic cameras. What she found didn't match Jordan's story. There were no travel records for Richard or Elena. Their bank accounts had no recent activity except for regular payments, automated and untouched. Their phones had stopped moving entirely after the date Jordan claimed they left. It was as if they had vanished in place. She returned to the Sandoval home with a forensic team, this time with a warrant. Jordan watched as they walked through every room, scanning, sniffing, measuring. The basement was clean, too clean. A forensic dog led them to a section of wall covered by old furniture and boxes. Behind it, they discovered the hidden room. Inside, the truth waited in silence, two bodies, wrapped tightly in plastic. Jordan was arrested that night. His expression never changed. He didn't cry or scream. He simply followed instructions, as if it were part of another routine. At the station, he confessed with chilling clarity. He described every detail, from the moment the idea first entered his mind to the hours spent cleaning afterward. He spoke with a calm, emotionless tone, as if it had all happened to someone else. He claimed he felt trapped, like a prisoner in his own life, and saw no other way out. In court, his defense presented a case built on years of emotional neglect and pressure. The prosecution painted him as a cold, calculated killer. The jury took just 2 hours to deliver a verdict, guilty on all counts. Jordan Sandoval was sentenced to life without parole. His final words in court echoed in silence, "Now, I'm free."